Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Welcome back to the Near Memo, and welcome back David Mim from 2 fabulous weeks of vacation. And
they were fabulous. I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush about that. It was a terrific vacation. So thanks for filling in while I was gone.
Well, we had an esoteric conversation about European antitrust and privacy rules last week, which was kind of fun and interesting, hopefully, for the people that heard that. As always, David, Mike, and me, it would be me, are here, but it's weird to say me are here to talk about search, social, and commerce through a local lens. And we're going to jump right into it. Some really interesting stuff this week. I'm going to lead off with a New York Times piece that we wrote about earlier this week about the sort of resurgence of small bookstores that's been going on for a little while, but the Times kind of crystallized it by saying that in the last couple of years, there are 300 new bookstores in the U.S., independent bookstores that have opened, often catering to niches or owned by diverse owners, non-white owners with different kinds of inventory. There, I got that out. So anyway, it was a very, very encouraging piece and very interesting. And I saw it, and my angle on it in the Near Media newsletter was that this reflects, kind of the frustration on some level with just the internet, that people want local businesses to survive. They want to be in physical stores, and that the internet, is a, the idea that everything was moving online, absolutely everything would be e-commerce driven, is completely false, and that this is sort of a symbol of that affinity that people have for their neighborhoods, their communities, and local shopping and small businesses in particular. So that was sort of my grandiose takeaway. But there's more going on there. Mike, why don't you fill in?
Well, there's several things going on. One is that Amazon's main competition in the book world was Borders and Barnes & Noble. Borders, as you know, closed, and Barnes & Noble is a shadow of its former self with many fewer stores. And those failures, those declines, created space starting when Borders were out, 2015, 2016, that independent bookstores have moved into. I think, too, the lack of desirability of ebooks, there has been a sort of decline in use of ebooks. I think that people realize that real books are more pleasurable to deal with and a better way to read.
Totally, that's my conclusion as well. Absolutely.
And so into those two spaces, there is now, with Amazon at the sort of volume, got to get it tomorrow, and nobody else sort of in that field, I think that it has opened up a number of niches for places like Powell's to expand into the internet more aggressively, but also smaller bookstores like in Ithaca. Interestingly, the very small used bookstore got bought up by a political publisher. And so now that there's more bookstores and there's these smaller bookstores, it strikes me that there may even now be an opportunity for some medium-sized roll-ups in that industry. Yeah. Some consolidation, because there is benefits to scale in distribution and purchasing and stuff that I think a very small bookstore would have a hard time dealing with.
It's also worth noting that Amazon has closed all its physical bookstores. Just wanted to throw that in.
Yes.
I was going to make two comments. First of all, as a rabid Powell's devotee, frequent shopper, they really struggled with COVID. They had a major, they couldn't quite figure out their staffing mix. Their online commerce is still super antiquated. It's painful to order from them online, though I do it to support a very local business to me. And I think that really they're sort of tying into the second comment I was going to make, that one of the major benefits of being Powell's is that it is a tourist destination. It is a place to go. It is a pleasurable activity to be in a Powell's store and to try to discover new things. And that experience is, I think, at least half of the winning formula for them, in the fact that they are in what used to be a very vibrant tourist city of Portland. It definitely helps their business, not just for local residents, but also for tourists. And I think that experience is just impossible to replicate online. Like, you have to really know what book you're looking for to make an Amazon order feel anything like anything at parity with an in-store shopping experience for a book.
Well, the only thing at parity is the checkout process, right? The rest of it sucks.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about Powell's is that, and this is true of other businesses. After I'd visited Powell's, my experience of interacting with them online was very different. So it's like meeting somebody in person and then having video calls with them or vicarious interactions with them. It's very different than if you've only had a kind of online experience. And so you're totally right that the community aspect of it, the tactile, visceral nature of being in a bookstore is really something that people want and like and love. And that's true of most local businesses, most, not all. There's some version of that going on. There's something tangible, palpable, real. Local businesses are more trusted. There are issues of fraud and distrust rampant now online. So I think, this is a very, very positive thing, but it also illustrates the larger point that, I don't know how many of these bookstores are doing a decent online business. It looked like from that article that many of them had an online component. But really the reality is that you need, the winning formula is some mix of online and offline. You can't really survive, I think, as an online only business. There's some very few businesses that are online only that really can make it in a retail context.
I don't think survive as an online only business. They certainly lose on price, and they really don't. They lose on the very poor quality of the checkout experience. And so, they
can address that.
Theoretically they can, but it's now been almost 3 years since the start.
Maybe it's a cost issue for them. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
although I don't know how they address the employee issue. My son started working at a retail. Moved to Baltimore a couple of weeks ago. Got a job in a beer retail and restaurant and a bar, and he got COVID, and everybody there got COVID, and they called him on day 5 and begged him to come in. He's like still dragging his butt hardly being able to drag his butt out of bed, and they were so desperate because virtually every employee was sick, and it's like, I don't even understand how retail operates in that context with scheduling. Impossible to ask.
Well, most people are just pretending like it's not a problem until it is. That's what.
Right, but you have the issue of bringing the employee in before they're fully better, and then you have the issue of spreading it to your customers. Not only are there logistic issues and management issues, there's ethical issues that are just mind-boggling. I don't fully understand how somebody like Powell's could continue. It had to be really frustrating. Has to be continuing to be really frustrating.
Yeah, and I say that, I don't say it to be critical of them, just as a point of fact that I just know they were just really scrambling for really the first year, I think, of COVID to keep operations going, let alone, try to grow their business. So
thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.